How you doing, guys? I'm gonna give you some 5 cents to my trip to Athens and actually Greece. So anyway, on the way to the islands with most of us going, so we have to stop by in Athens first before we're gonna take another flight or something else, or go to Piraeus and take the ferry to one of the islands. So as might as well spend wisely time in Athens, and you should. And believe me or not, this is a great place to see and to be for 2 or 3 days. And if you think you can do it in one day, forget about it. You're never gonna have to do it anything else there. Just go, because of Athens is beautiful city. It's prehistoric city with all the civilizations. I'm talking about the human civilization started. So Athens is a place to be, and if you're gonna stay in Athens, stay close to Acropolis or Agora or Syntagma. I can't even pronounce the name, but Syntagma is a place, and trying to stay away from, not from the Plaka, from another place. Oh God, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, it will come back to my mind. So anyway, so when you have 2 or 3 days spending time in Athens, the first day you should really spend time when you're gonna go to main place is Acropolis, Pantheon, Theater of Dionysus, Plaka, the Acropolis Museum, Hadrian Arch, and Temple of Olympian Zeus. So anyway, so we can start from Acropolis. So when you get off the place, the hotel, and if you stay close to Acropolis, you really should walk. Nothing you should take any taxi or anything else, at least if you're too far away from the old city. Okay, you're starting the point from Acropolis. So if you're gonna go visit Acropolis, it's pretty pricey. It's about $20 per visitor. So anyway, so the hour of operation starting probably it's like 8 o'clock in the morning or maybe 11 o'clock and ends up at like 7:30 p.m. Anyway, so the visit should be 1 hour or maybe a couple hours. So Athens is a top must-see attraction, and UNESCO site is the Acropolis, high city or sacred rock, and hill overlooking the city and home to the most recognizable symbol of the city, the Pantheon. Acropolis has been inhabited since the Neolithic period and has been used as both a religious cult site and residential area. Most Greek cities were built around the central hill or mound, as it made a good look out of point and place to retreat in the event of an attack. From Acropolis you can look out of the sea and down onto the sea. Remains of the ancient Agora and Plaka, which hugs the foot of the hill. The Pantheon was the central and largest of Acropolis temples and was dedicated to Athena, the goddess. It had rich decoration, statues, friezes, and artwork by the greatest artists of the time. In ancient times, the Acropolis was the venue for the annual Athenian festival of Panathenaia. Make sure you get a ticket for all attraction in Acropolis area, because if right in Acropolis you can see the Parthenon. So the Parthenon is the main ancient structure of the Acropolis and hill in the center of the Athens. It is in UNESCO also World Heritage Site, the symbol of Athens and the most famous of surviving structures from the world of the ancient Greece. The building was originally built in honor of the goddess Athena, the city's patron. Again, the temple of Athena is the Virgin. Pantheon is the Greek word for virgin, was built following the Persian Wars in thanks of the city victory. It was built on the site of an early temple which Persian had destroyed. As rulers and occupiers changed, the temple was used for different purposes, including as a church, mosque, and fortress. The third place to see, right in the same vicinity, is the Theater of Dionysus. So possibly it's probably an hour, and be ready to get banged up again for another admission for about $2, and you can see the theater. Very nice, believe me or not, it's great to go and see it. It's one of those things which is never forgettable. So it's on the southern slope of the Acropolis. The pedestrian street of Dionysius is the site of the two ancient performance venues, Dionysius Theatre and Odeon Theatre. The Odeon of Herodes Atticus is named after the man who financed its construction around 160-174 AD. The 4th century BC Theatre of Dionysus was constructed on the site of the earlier theatre where the original performances of famous classical Greek dramas were performed. Just the names I'm going to tell you, like Sophocles and Euripides, has their premieres there. So can you believe it? The people's names, and that's the theater still exists. The next place you're gonna have to visit is the Plaka. So the Plaka should take you about a couple hours to visit, 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes, and it's actually free. So the Plaka will be one of the most enchanting places you visit in Athens, even though it is geared towards tourists and has retained a charm and picturesque quality. Plaka is a neighborhood at the foot of the Acropolis, constructed on the same site as ancient residential areas. Today it's labyrinth of narrow lanes lined in beautiful neoclassical buildings. Plaka is divided into Upper Plaka, like Ano Plaka, and Lower Plaka, Kato Plaka, by the main street, Adriana Street, which runs through the neighborhood. Many of the houses have red tile roofs and balconies dripping with the flower boxes. It is village with the city. Tourists, of course us, will like to come here for shopping and enjoy the many good restaurants and of course stay in the nice hotels. There are outdoor cafes, many pedestrian streets, street musicians and public square. So actually the Plaka was built on a part of the ruins of ancient Agora and became the Turkish quarter under Ottomans as the Turkish governor resided here. Residents abandoned the Plaka during the Greek War of Independence, like in 1821, 1832, and returned once the new Greek state has been proclaimed under King Otto. In the late 19th century, a large Arvanite, like Albanian community, resided here, and it was referred to as Arvanite Quarter. Following a fire in 1884, excavations have led to discovery of several ancient Roman structures. In 1960s, it was a birthplace of Greek New Wave music, and during the 70s, it has known for rowdy bars and nightclubs, which have since been restricted. Within Plaka, you can visit Benaki Museum of Islamic Art, Kanilopolis Museum, Jewish Museum, the Museum of Greek Folk Musical Instruments, and Museum of Greek Folk Art. You'll find the Roman Agora and the Tower of Winds at the west end of the Plaka. Shopping in the Plaka includes both stores, shopping and market shopping. There is a second-hand flea market as well as the Sunday morning market where you can pick up antiques. Another place we can see the same day, as long as you in a good pace, you can see Acropolis Museum. So get ready to give up some shekels too. It's the admission probably costs you about $5, 5 years actually. It's open for public. Alright, once you're done with all these events, right outside with about maybe 0.5 kilometers, like 6 minutes walk from Acropolis Museum, you will get to Hadrian's Arch. This triumphal arch was erected in the 2nd century AD in honor of Roman Emperor Hadrian. The arch stands within walking distance of Syntagma Square. It was probably constructed before Hadrian's visits to Athens on 131st, 132nd years AD. The arch was constructed spanning an ancient road which led from the ancient city center where Agra and Acropolis stand for Olympian and southeastern Athens. The western side of the arch bears the inscription, "This is Athens, an ancient old city of Theseus." On the eastern side of inscription states, "This is a city of Hadrian and not of Theseus." The inspirations could signify that arch was built on the line which divided all Athens to the west from Hadrian, New Athens, Hadrianopolis to the southeast. The inscription could also be interpreted as proclaiming Hadrian as the new hero of all Athens, replacing Theseus. Here's another place to see the same day as long as you're in good pace again. It's called Temple of Olympian Zeus. So it's about 45 minutes discovery, and it's about 200 meters, like 0.2 kilometers, with 4 minutes walking distance from Hadrian Arch. So the remains of this massive temple stand southeast of Acropolis. The Temple of Zeus Olympius was largest in ancient Greece. Construction began probably in 515 BC, and it was completed in the 2nd century during the Roman era. You also will be paying for the entry to that place, and it will cost you another €2. So be ready to shake up your pockets. And the last place to visit for that day is Panathinaik Stadium. So that's about 1 kilometer, like 14 minutes walking distance from Temple of Olympian Zeus, and you should probably spend an hour approximately, and of course you gotta pay again 5 years admission. So this stadium was originally built in 330s, 321st BC to host the Panathinaik Games. The festival was held every 4 years, like Olympic Games, and was a part of the huge festival in honor of the goddess Athena. Spectators sat on the slopes surrounding the stadium while dignitaries had wooden seats. Under Roman rule, Herodotus Atticus had the stadium renovated in 140 AD. The seats were covered with marble, giving the stadium a new name, Kalimarmaro, of beautifully marble. Okay, here's the second day itinerary. So you should start with National Historical Museum, Athens, then Monasteraki, Roman Agora, Ancient Agora, Heracleidan Museum, and Kerameikos. Alright, we're starting second day with the visit of National Historical Museums, Athens. So of course you gotta pay admission again for 3 years. It's open for public from Tuesday through Sunday, so Monday forget about it. So the building which houses the museum has a long and eventful history. The site used to be the residence of King Otto of Greece in 1813. So in 1844 King Otto established a constitution, and the building was allocated for sessions of Greek parliament. However, the building was burned to the ground in 1854 and completely rebuilt by 1871. The Greek parliament met here from 1875 to 1932, and then became the Ministry of Justice, and in 1962 became the National Historical Museum, displaying the collections of Historical and Ethnological Society of Greece. The next piece of your action, it should be Monasteraki. It's about 700 meters, so like 11 minutes walk from National Historical Museum, and you should spend probably an hour and a half. You remember I told you about the place I couldn't remember the name. So Monasteraki is the place. Make sure don't stay there, and especially stay away at night, because a lot of sketchy people around there. Believe me, for security reasons, you should stay away at night. So the Monasteraki is like little monastery. Flea market is held in one of the oldest parts of the city, at the foot of the Acropolis in Monasteraki neighborhood. The neighborhood is known for its shops and open bazaar, like market type stores which line the streets, but there is also the market, which is not worth missing. Each of the narrow streets which leads of Monasteraki Square is packed with interesting stores and triggers to explore the smaller lanes. Monasteraki Square is surrounded by interesting buildings like mosque built in 1759, which now houses a ceramic museum, and the Church of Pantanassa. Close by it, Adrian Library and the Agora. The Sunday flea market has been held in Avicennius Square since 1910, and it is jumbled collection of everything you can imagine. You can find anything for sale here, from World War II memorabilia, chess sets, brass, copper pans, and Mickey Mouse clocks to real antiques. Pick up chandelier, clothing, kitchenware, or souvenirs at the market. Feel free to bargain. The nice thing about the market is that you will not be surrounded by only tourists. The locals like to shop here as well. After Monastiraki, you're on the way to Agora, which is 400 meters or 5 minutes walking distance from Monastiraki. So Agora costs you money again, and you should be ready for that too. So 6 years is another place to pay for it. To Agora in Athens, you can stroll between what remains of the Roman Forum or center of the city from 19 to 11 BC. By the 1st century BC, when Athens had become part of the Roman Empire, the old marketplace or Agora was no longer efficient enough, and so the new Roman Agora was built. So Julius Caesar and Emperor Augustus funded the construction of the Forum and had several structures built as an extension of the old Greek Agora. The new Agora was surrounded on all sides by colonnades of Ionic columns, and inside the surrounding colonnades were commercial establishments, while the central area was left open. Access to Agora was through the gate of Athena, which led to the old Agora, or through an entrance of the eastern side. The Agora was social and political center of the city. Among the buildings which stood here, there were the law courts, public toilets, which could seat like 68 people at the time, stores, and temples. Once you finish with Roman Agora, you go into ancient Agora, which is probably another 600 meters or 8 minutes walk from Roman Agora. Alright, paying again, 4 years, so be ready for that too. The Agora, or gathering place, was the heart of the ancient Athens. People would come here to do business, shop, be entertained. Here, philosophers expounding their views, attend court, go to school, socialize, and conduct politics. Excavation of ancient style began in early 20th centuries, and archaeological findings include many ancient structures. Another surrounding place, Heracleion Museum, which is about 700 meters or 10 minutes walk from ancient Agora. This private museum is in the shadow of Acropolis, in neoclassic building dating back to 1898. The museum's goal is to introduce visitors, or us, to the world of fine arts by highlighting the work of specific artists who have made a major contribution to art. And concluding that second day, you go to Kerameikos, and which is 600 meters or 7 minutes walking from Heracleion Museum. So Kerameikos is an area which was once the ancient potter's quarter of Athens. Hence the word ceramics from Kerameikos. So if you're going to visit Kerameikos, you can see the ancient cemetery, the ruins of Athens city walls, or 2 city wall gates, and visit the Kerameikos Museum. Now we're in the third day, and we're gonna have to spend some time on third day if you were staying there. So you're starting the day with Gulandris Museum of Cycladic art, which is like ancient art from Cyclades Islands. Then you go to Benaki Museum, the impressive Islamic collection, which is housed in Kerameikos building complex. Then you go to Syntagma Square, which is a historic square where the Greek Parliament building is located. After that, you go to Athens City Museum focused on the modern history of Athens, and finishing the day with National Archaeological Museum, this museum holds the largest collection of archaeological findings from Greece. Alright, starting in the morning, you go to Gulandris Museum of Cycladic art. So the The admission costs $3, 3 years, 50 cents. So the Cyclades are a group of the Greek Isles in Aegean Sea. The Cycladic culture flourished of the islands from 3200 BC to 2000 BC. 100 meters away, like 2 minutes walk from the Gulandris Museum of Cycladic Art, there is the Benaki Museum. This Islamic collection is one of the several branches of the Benaki Museum. It is housed in Kerameikos building complex. The museum in the center of Athens comprises two neoclassical buildings, which are both listed. So the admission costs 7 years. If you're into it, keep going, keep coming. The core of the collection came from Anthony's Benaki private collection. The collection is divided into 4 sections: 7th to 12th century, 12th century through 16th century, display of a marble interior from 17th century Egyptian mansion, as well as treasured from Iran and Turkey, and the final section contains weapons and jewels from Iran's Qajar period 1796 to 1925. About half a mile or 8 minutes walk from Benaki Museum, I guess you have to go to Syntagma Square. You really should. On Syntagma Square, the most impressive building is the Greek Parliament building, which used to be the Royal Palace. So up till 1843, when Greece became a constitutional nation, the square was called Palace Square, and today it is called Constitution Square or Platea Syntagmatos. The square has seen the major historical events of the city pass before it. I don't know if you will be able to do it the same day. You should go to Athens City Museum, which is probably not an hour of visit. It's a half a kilometer with 6 minutes walk from Syntagma Square. So of course the admission is another 5 years, so keep paying. With so many of the city sites devoted to the ancient civilizations of Athens, it is refreshing to visit this museum, which focuses on the modern history of the Greek capital. So the museum is housed within 2 connected post-revolutionary buildings. A tour of the museum takes you through Athenian history and cultural life through the art and artifacts visit, so you can gain a glimpse into the life of Athens during the 18th to 20th century. Oh man, there is another place you should visit. It's called National Archaeological Museum, which is probably will take you another 2 hours to see it. And it's a little bit distant, 1.4 kilometers, like maybe 18-20 minutes walk from Athens City Museum. So of course you gotta pay another 7 years. Or you may just forget about it and just go have a souvlaki or gyros. You can see the largest collection of archaeological findings from Greece. So by visit this museum, which is kind of central located, the huge neoclassical building was expanded in several stages to make room for the growing collection. Collection has several temporary homes since its initiation in 1829, before arriving at its present purpose-built location in 1880. There are 5 large permanent collections. The prehistoric collection covers the 6th millennium BC, 1050 BC, Neolithic, Cycladic, and Mycenaean, as well as pieces from prehistoric settlement and theater. Don't forget to take a night view from the rooftop of your hotel on Acropolis. It's amazing. Anyway, have a great time in Athens and enjoying it before you're gonna go other places, especially going to the islands. And have a great time in Greece. Thank you guys for listening. Ciao.